Our eyes, they've been recording everything since day one. What do they remember that we've forgotten? How can we unlock the secrets they hold to our destiny? Welcome to my experience with Iridology.
My first exposure to iridology was a bad one. I was from someone who was constantly spamming their services on Twitter every 10 minutes and talking about how they took an online course and now they could help you, and you send in a picture of your eye and they're going to tell you everything. And that was my first experience with iridology. So I was like looking into it, it seemed like a total scam to me and I wasn't really interested. So it's about a year or so later that I ended up working with a girl who told me that an iridologist helped diagnose problems that she'd had her whole life that no one else could figure out, and they helped improve her health immensely. When I told her that I was struggling with my skin and my various random health issues, she was like, you have to see an iridologist. And I could only find one here where I live. It was a 3-month waiting list, and in that 3-month period of time I managed to make some really great strides in my health. So when my appointment started coming up, I was thinking like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't really go. But I thought, you know what, I'm an open-minded person. I want to try everything I can to help myself out. So I went, and I was completely floored and very impressed. The iridologist verified a couple of things for me that I did know, told me a couple of things I didn't know, and then told me something that completely threw me, and I was very profoundly affected by that. I now think that iridology is a great way to find out what's really going on inside your body. It's actually quite funny. When I told Jonathan that I had gone, he told me that he realized that he had actually seen someone at that iridology clinic maybe 10 years ago who had told him a bunch of things about himself that he completely thought was ridiculous, and only now we're finding out that everything he was told 10 years ago was true. I still don't know the science behind it yet, but I know that if you find someone who knows what they're doing, it can be great. The guy that I saw was a 3rd-generation herbalist from Germany, and so healing arts kind of ran in his family. He spoke with a lot of confidence. He was about, he seemed to be like in his mid-60s, like someone who's been doing this for years. So he looked into my eyes with like a light and a magnifying glass, and then he started drawing things out onto this sheet right here. And like that, immediately I was thinking, okay, this is kind of unprofessional and strange. The first thing he told me was that I had been like really worried about my liver, that my skin problems were coming from my liver. And he told me that my liver was healthy, but that my skin problems were coming from somewhere in my digestive tract. And he was able to show me the specific area on the sheet, and he recommended some probiotics, and he told me that it was probably that it was very irritated, and that would be what's causing my skin problem, because there's actually a section of the iris where you can check for skin, and he says that my skin is healthy. It's just that my skin is reacting to this irritation. And he said it probably is coming from a wheat or dairy, which I was just instantly, I was like, no, I have a raw vegan diet, I don't eat bread and this pasta and everything, no. And then I had to really stop and think about it, because I had actually had spaghetti for dinner the night before. I will just randomly have, a bit of gluten here and there, and I think that because I'm recovering, it's almost like if you randomly scratch your arm, that's okay, but if you have an open wound there and you scratch it, it opens it up again, and I feel like that's kind of what was happening. I eat a very healthy diet, but every once in a while, I'll go out with our friends to a Famoso, and I'll have like one of those thin crust pizzas with no cheese or something. I'll randomly go to someone's birthday party and I'll have like a few bites of cake or something like that. Just random little things here and there that aren't a normal part of my diet when I'm trying to heal could really be throwing me back a lot farther than it would if I had already been healthy. And he then got my attention by saying, what happened to your back? And I got a little bit, I was like thinking, okay, there's nothing really wrong there. And I was just kind of just to see what he would say. And I was like, where on my back? And he's like, your lower back. And I was like, which side? And he's like, the right side. And he's like, the hip, the pelvis. And I was like, all right. Because he said that he could see that it was not just a short-term thing, but it was a long-term injury that was active currently in my body, which is completely true. About 2 years ago, I fell down the stairs and something weird happened to me on my lower back, pelvic area, and it was so painful and horrible. It still is bugging me to this day, and he could see that, and that definitely got my attention. He told me that I was having an issue with one side of my ovaries, which was something that was confirmed by a female hormone specialist I had seen like months ago. Through some testing, they confirmed that. So he knew that. That was creepy. He could see that my adrenals were kind of a little bit fatigued, which is something I've been working through these past couple of months, which is why I haven't made very many videos. I've been like really exhausted for absolutely no reason. And finally at one point, I thought the thing was over, and he said, oh, I have to tell you, you have broken nerve rings. And I said, okay, what does that mean? And he said, anxiety, a great deal of anxiety. And I thought, okay. And so I started saying, like, yeah, you know, I've dealt with depression in my life. You know, right now I'm going through some issues reconciling the fact that I almost died recently, and it's been causing me some, you know, some emotional turmoil that I've been working through quite well. But he said, no, who does this come from, your mother or your father? And that kind of blew me away as well. And I was just kind of confused. And I said, well, you know, when I was a child, you know, my mother was like this, my father was like this. And he goes, no, it's in your DNA. And that really got my attention, big time. That's something that I've always kind of felt and kind of known, was that we carry generational emotional issues. I know that, for example, my mother was affected negatively by her generational issues because she was the youngest of a family of 10, and her whole life she spent talking about how sad she was that her parents didn't give her much attention when she was a kid. She didn't have anyone to really rely on other than random, you know, relatives growing up, and how she didn't have a father because he died when she was very young. However, she went ahead and recreated that situation for 3 other people. She had 3 children, and we all experienced the exact conditions that she had experienced in her life, that I assume most people wouldn't want to inflict that on anybody. And I'm actually going to be making a video about that coming up, how to end cycles of generational pain and how to identify them. A really cool thing to keep in mind, though, is something called epigenetics, which is science that is showing that you can change your genes. You can change your DNA. According to the iridologist, I was born with this predisposition for anxiety that originated somewhere and continued on through my family. That doesn't have to be a life sentence for me, and it doesn't have to be a life sentence for anybody. Definitely get in to see an iridologist if you can. Try to find somebody who has good reviews or a lot of experience. Let me know in the comments if you have had any experience with the iridologists, how it went for you, what you think, if you'd ever try it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, click the thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you again soon.